At 8:07 on a Monday morning, the CEO walked into her company and saw a man asleep at his desk. His head rested on his folded arms. His laptop was still glowing. Empty coffee cups stood beside him, and his face looked exhausted. The CEO, Victoria Hale, did not know that this man had been awake for nearly 48 hours. She did not know that while the rest of the company slept safely in their homes, he had been fighting a dangerous cyberattack that could have destroyed everything they had built. She only saw a sleeping employee. And in that one moment, she made a decision that would change both their lives forever. Before we begin this inspiring story, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more stories about kindness, courage, and second chances. Daniel Carter was 36 years old and worked as a cybersecurity engineer at a fast-growing technology company called Brightcore. He was not the kind of employee people noticed. He wore simple clothes, carried an old backpack, and rarely talked about himself. He did not attend expensive business dinners or try to impress important people. But Daniel had one quality that made him different. He cared deeply about his work. He was also a single father. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise, prepared breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, and took her to school before going to the office. His wife had passed away several years earlier, and since then, Daniel had been both mother and father to Lily. Life was not easy. But Daniel never complained. He always told his daughter, "As long as we have each other, we'll find a way." One Friday evening, Daniel was about to leave the office when he noticed something strange on his computer. A security alert had appeared. Someone was trying to break into Brightcore's main network. Daniel immediately reported it to his manager. At first, everyone thought it was a small technical problem. But within an hour, Daniel realized the truth. This was not a normal attack. A group of hackers was trying to steal important company data and lock the company's entire system. If they succeeded, Brightcore could lose millions of dollars. Daniel called his manager again. "We need to act now," he said. But his manager was already on a flight to another city. The company's IT director was unavailable. And the rest of the cybersecurity team had gone home. Daniel had a choice. He could leave the office and go home to his daughter. Or he could stay and protect the company. He looked at the time. It was almost midnight. Lily was staying with her grandmother that night. Daniel took a deep breath. "I'll stay," he whispered. And he began to work. For the next 24 hours, Daniel fought the hackers. Every time he blocked one attack, another appeared. He called security experts. He sent emergency messages. He worked with the company's servers and tried to keep the attackers away from sensitive information. Saturday morning became Saturday afternoon. Then Saturday night. Daniel barely slept. He survived on coffee and a few pieces of food from a vending machine. At one point, his hands were shaking from exhaustion. But he kept going. He knew that thousands of customers depended on Brightcore. He knew that hundreds of employees depended on the company for their jobs. And somewhere in the middle of the night, Daniel remembered something his late wife had once told him. "Doing the right thing isn't always easy," she had said. "But one day, you'll be glad you did." So Daniel continued. After nearly 48 hours, the attack was finally stopped. The hackers were locked out. The company's data was safe. Daniel leaned back in his chair. He wanted to call his manager. He wanted to report everything. But his eyes became too heavy. His body had reached its limit. He placed his head on his arms. And he fell asleep. That was when Victoria Hale, the company's CEO, walked into the office Monday morning. She had no idea what had happened. She saw Daniel sleeping. Her expression immediately changed. "Daniel!" He suddenly woke up. His eyes were red, and his face looked pale. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I didn't mean to." Victoria interrupted him. "You're fired." Daniel stared at her. For a moment, he could not understand what he had heard. "Excuse me?" "You were sleeping during working hours," Victoria said coldly. "This is a serious company. We don't pay people to sleep at their desks." Daniel looked down. He was too tired to argue. He slowly stood up. "I understand." He packed his old laptop bag. Victoria watched him walk toward the door. Then Daniel stopped. He turned around. "Ma'am, before I leave, you should know something." Victoria crossed her arms. "What?" "There was a cyberattack this weekend." Victoria's face changed. "What did you say?" "Someone tried to break into the company network. I stayed here and stopped them." Victoria stared at him. "Who authorized you to do that?" "No one." "Then why did you stay?" Daniel looked toward the floor. "Because someone had to." Victoria said nothing. Daniel continued. "I tried to contact everyone. I couldn't reach them. I thought if I left, the company could lose everything." Victoria walked quickly toward his computer. "What exactly happened?" Daniel explained everything. Then he showed her the security records. Victoria's hand slowly moved toward her mouth. The truth was impossible to ignore. Daniel had saved the company. The attack had been far more serious than anyone realized. If the hackers had succeeded, Brightcore could have lost customer information, millions of dollars, and possibly its entire reputation. Victoria looked at Daniel. The man she had just fired. The man she had judged in less than 10 seconds. She suddenly felt ashamed. "Daniel," she said quietly. He looked at her. "I'm sorry." Daniel did not respond. Victoria continued. "I judged you without knowing what you had done." Daniel looked exhausted. "I understand. You didn't know." But Victoria shook her head. "No. I should have asked." For the first time, Daniel saw tears in the CEO's eyes. Then Victoria asked something unexpected. "Why didn't you tell anyone you had been working for 2 days?" Daniel gave a small smile. "I was going to. But I guess I fell asleep before I could." Victoria laughed softly through her tears. Then she did something that shocked everyone in the office. She apologized to Daniel in front of the entire staff. She admitted that she had made a terrible mistake. And then she offered him his job back. But Daniel had one condition. "I want better support for the cybersecurity team," he said. "No employee should have to work alone like this again." Victoria immediately agreed. But she did more than that. She gave Daniel a promotion and made him head of cybersecurity. She also arranged a flexible work schedule so he could spend more time with Lily. But Daniel's kindness had created another change. Victoria began treating people differently. She started asking employees questions before judging them. She learned that one employee was caring for a sick parent. Another was struggling financially. One cleaning worker was working 2 jobs to support her children. Victoria realized something important. Behind every desk was a human being. Every tired face had a story. Every mistake had a reason. And sometimes, the person who looks like they are failing may secretly be the person holding everything together. A few weeks later, Victoria visited Daniel's home. She met Lily, who proudly showed her a drawing of her father. It was a picture of Daniel standing beside a computer. Above his head, Lily had written, "My superhero dad." Victoria smiled. "Your dad really is a hero," she said. Daniel looked embarrassed. "I just did my job." Victoria shook her head. "No, Daniel. You did more than your job. And you reminded me that kindness begins with something very simple." Daniel smiled. "What?" "Taking the time to understand someone before judging them." Years later, Brightcore became one of the most respected companies in its industry. Daniel remained with the company. But he never forgot the morning he was fired for sleeping at his desk. And Victoria never forgot the lesson she learned that day. Sometimes, we see only a small part of someone's story. We see someone who is tired. Someone who is quiet. Someone who makes a mistake. Someone who seems to be struggling. But we may never know the battles they are fighting when no one is watching. So before you judge someone, pause. Before you become angry, ask. Before you walk away, show a little kindness. A kind word can change someone's day. A second chance can change someone's life. And sometimes, simply choosing to understand instead of judging can reveal the hero standing right in front of you. Because kindness does not always require money. It does not require power. It does not require a grand gesture. Sometimes, kindness is simply giving someone a moment to explain. And you never know. That one moment may be the reason someone finds hope again.